How does this one go? Bake me a cake as fast as you can. Roll it and
Bake it.
And mark it with a
B.
And put it in the oven for
Mommy.
That's
Wow. Both the teeth and a swim. Malala.
Life is but a
Dream.
Humpty Dumpty sat on a
Wow.
Humpty Dumpty had a great
For the second dinner after
to fetch a pail of
water.
The
Second dinner after
and Jill came tumbling
after 1, 2, 3.
You see the numbers on the clock? What's that number?
12,
What's this number?
2,
What's this number?
9,
What's that number?
11,
What's this number?
10,
What's that number?
3.
Yeah. Oh, you love this one. What is this?
The extra by the spout. Don't you see why she out?
Out came the sun and and the itsy bitsy spider went up the spout again. It's Amanda, and as you can see, I am in our guest room today. Sorry, it's a little echoey in here. There's not much furniture. We just have our bed, our guest bed in here, and that's it. But I thought I would film in a different room this time because I'm filming during the day and thought the natural light might be a little nicer in here. So welcome to my update for pregnancy week 32. The good news is that we seem to be pretty much over all the sickness. Alex did manage to get a cold this week. It was a really mild one though. So a little bit of a snotty nose, like nothing bad. He's just been sleeping a little bit more, which is nice for everyone. But other than that, I am just like hoping and praying. No more sickness. We are done. It was a bit of a rough start. Earlier in the week, I had several days in a row of really bad sleep. It seemed like there was always something. I was just having like frequent insomnia when I would wake up in the middle of the night to pee and then not be able to fall back asleep. I know this is so common. And then I would just be running on a few hours of sleep during the day, which is a challenge with a toddler, but you know. And then there was another night that I had indigestion. I don't know what it was that I ate that night, but my stomach was just feeling a little off, and it wasn't anything like my stomach bug the other day, but it was enough to keep me awake and be uncomfortable. And then there have been, I guess with Alex's cold, like mostly he's been sleeping deeper, which is good, but like sometimes he'll wake up because I think he, you know, can't breathe very well through his nose at night with his little cold, and so he like spits out his binky so he can breathe, and then he wants his binky and he can't find it, and so we've had a few nights like that. And there was one night when Bill had to wake up really early, an early morning meeting, and normally he, you know, goes into work at like 10 and it's fine, but he had to be in work a lot earlier. And so, and Alex woke up, like we had settled into bed, and right as we were falling asleep, Alex starts screaming, ugh. And Bill was like, I'm sorry, I can't deal with it tonight because I have to get up so early. And I was totally exhausted. Like I felt like I had a cold coming on too, and I was just totally exhausted. I was like, oh my God. I ended up being the one getting up, and I went in there and rocked him a little bit, put him back down. Then he started screaming again. And so finally I'm like, okay, kid, like, I think he was teething as well, so I gave him some Tylenol, and I was just so exhausted and frustrated at that point that I was literally, like, he was crying and I was also crying with him. We were just like sitting in the rocker crying together. Man, he just had a hard time falling asleep that night. It took like 45 minutes for him to fall back asleep, and so I didn't get, I mean, with all the upping and downing and everything, I didn't get to sleep until like 3 a.m. that night, and it just seemed like it was like one night after another like that. There was something that was preventing me from sleeping. So earlier in the week I was absolutely exhausted, but then over the weekend, Bill and I did our tag team thing where I let him sleep in and I get up with Alex in the morning, and then once Bill gets up, then I go back to sleep for a few hours, and Bill tends to Alex, and we did that Saturday and Sunday, and so that really helped rejuvenate me. So I'm really glad we did that, and then since then sleep has actually been better since the weekend, so that's good. So when I wake up in the mornings now, I am like so stiff in my pelvis. Even though I have like my fortress of pillitude all around me, and like I am probably as comfortable as a pregnant lady in the 3rd trimester could possibly be, still I wake up with hip pain and the crotch pain, and it would be way worse if I didn't have all of the pillows and padding and everything that I have. But I'm still just so stiff when I get up in the morning. I feel like I have to just like inch my way out of bed, and like feet have to like fall to the floor, and then I like shuffle to the bathroom. I'm like, this must be what it feels like to be really old, people. As I get up and move around, then it's like I loosen up and I'm like fine for the rest of the day. But man, that first time when I wake up in the morning, I'm just like, seriously, I'm like shuffling really slowly because there's so much pain. Oh, that's fun, but what to expect, 3rd trimester. So had another great week with exercise this week. I have really been making a point. We've been having really great weather. It's sunny right now, and we've been having a number of sunny days, and even if it's not sunny, we've been having less, or like times during the day when it's not raining and I can go for a walk. It's actually really been a decent winter here for the Northwest. Like normally it's just like really gray and dreary all winter, but we've actually had, I mean, we have our gray and dreary days, but like we've been having a number of sunny days throughout too, which is nice. Because I feel like I don't get cabin fever as much, and like I have been able to get out a little bit more, so that's been great. So I've been walking at least a half an hour each time, and I think I went 4 or 5 times this last week, so that was really good. The downside is I come home and my pelvis is aching just like it does in the morning, and I just like, I pay for it, but I'm like, there's gonna be a sacrifice. It's like I have to exercise, so there's going to be a little bit of pain, so grin and bear it, Earlier last week, I actually went on a really long walk, the longest walk I think I've gone on in a long time. It was like an hour and a half. I have a bunch of pictures of the amazing fog and the sun coming through the fog, and just like, oh my gosh, the light with the fog that we've been having is just spectacular. It is so beautiful, and I'm a photographer, so I love taking pictures, So Alex and I actually decided to go for a walk through the fog, and we did a long walk all the way up to another neighborhood that has a park nearby, and I took him to go on the swing and the slide and everything, and he loved it. And so it was great for both of us, got some great exercise, and some great photography along the way as well, and even just some from our backyard too. It was really cool. So yeah, feeling good about my state of exercise this week. So holy cow, guys, like, baby girl has been having a growth spurt this week. I kid you not. They always joke about pregnant women being hungry all the time and like pigging out all the time. And like, I really haven't done that much this pregnancy. Like, I feel like I have my eating, I mean, like I've been eating a little more than I usually do, but not a whole lot. And like my eating schedule is about the same as it was before I was pregnant. But not this last week. I was pigging out this last week, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I just felt famished all the time. I would eat, and then 10 minutes later I would feel like starving and like I hadn't eaten in like 12 hours. It was ridiculous. I guess baby girl was making her little demands known, and I was giving in, but I tried to make healthy choices when I was eating. So I mean, there was at least that. I was having good calories, but seriously, holy cow, I was like eating a lot for just like 3 or 4 days in a row. It was ridiculous. And Bill was like laughing at me. He's like, "You're such a pregnant lady." I'm like, "I know it." And I can tell that like she really is growing too. Like my belly feels like it's stretching. There's this coat of Bill's that I wear. It's just like I didn't want to go out and buy a rain jacket just for pregnancy because, you know, it's ridiculous to spend that much money on a nice coat that I'm only going to wear for less than a year. So normally I wear Bill's coat, and that's been totally fine. It zips up and everything, and it's been great up until now. I tried to put it on yesterday and it was really tight to zip it up. I was like, what? Like a few days before it fit just fine. And so I can really tell that my belly is growing. Baby girl is growing. Like there really was something to this growth spurt. With food, I have definitely had some strange cravings this week. I've had my regular cravings like the orange juice and the eggs and, you know, the things that I normally eat. But this time it was like, along with my hunger came these like strange pregnancy cravings. Like I really wanted to have pop. I know, and this is like me. I'm like, my title is Eat, Pray, Crunch, right? Like crunch. I am totally like not into pop. Like I seriously haven't had a normal soda pop in years. Like I don't even remember the last time I had one. I think they're absolutely disgusting now. Like I don't even crave them. Like I can't handle the sugar. But that's what I was craving. I just really wanted that busyness. And so Bill did the grocery shopping this week and I was like, okay, can you find something that's a healthier alternative for me? Because like I feel like I have to have pop right now, but I don't want to get regular pop. And so he actually found one that's stevia sweetened at the co-op that we shop at. And so he read off the flavors like, oh, cream soda, that sounds so good. So he got this, it's actually called Zevia. Stevia is actually a sweetener that we use all the time. Anyway, so it was definitely a healthier alternative. It's just like carbonated water with some natural flavoring and stevia in it. So I was like, okay, this is going to be my compromise. I can handle this for now. This is going to have to satisfy my craving. And it did. I was pleasantly surprised. He got this stevia cream soda and it was really good. And so, yeah, I was like, this is going to be my one indulgence of the week. So throughout the week, I had my little 6-pack of my stevia cream soda. The other craving I had was pho. Oh my God. I was actually watching the vlogger Nat and Wes and the rest. She's actually a local vlogger here. She lives not too far from where we live actually. She was talking about how she and her husband went down to eat pho for lunch one day and I was like, oh my God, I have to have pho now. If you guys don't know what pho is, it's a Vietnamese like noodle soup. It's like a really tasty broth with, I can't remember what the kind of noodles they are, but they're kind of like those glassy type of noodles. And they put in meat and vegetables and like little bean sprouts on top and like basil and stuff. Oh. And so I was like, Bill, we are going to have pho for dinner tonight. And so I went out and got takeout and brought it back. And this was during my like growth spurt hunger craze. And I just like wolfed it down. I was like, this is so satisfying. Yeah, even though I like couldn't even finish the whole bowl of it in one sitting, 15 minutes later, I would want to eat again. So then I had even more pho. So, and then I had it again because, you know, they give you a huge bowl of it. It lasts a long time. So I had pho for lunch and dinner for 2 days in a row. That was all I had. And I don't know what about it was so satisfying. Like, I don't know if it was the broth that was in it or what it was, but it was just like this intense pregnancy craving. And once I had it, I was like, oh yes, this is so good. So while we're on the topic of growth spurt, I will mention weight gain. Along with baby girl's growth spurt this week, I gained 3 pounds. So surprise, surprise, if I pig out, I guess that's gonna happen. But you know what, I'm okay with it. Like, I really feel like my body knows what it's doing. I feel like I was that hungry for a reason and that she really was growing. So I am now up 39 pounds. I checked with my pregnancy journal from my last pregnancy and I had gained 44 pounds. in 32 weeks last pregnancy, so I'm still doing 5 pounds better, so I'm still happy about that. So that's where I'm at with that. So Braxton Hicks, oh my gosh, I have been having so many Braxton Hicks, especially, there was like a few days, it was like right before the growth spurt actually. You know, I mentioned that I've been walking so much, I would come back and I would just be like contracting like every 15 minutes for, you know, several hours, like into the evening. And it was really disconcerting to me. I was like, I feel like these are kind of regular contractions. They weren't painful or anything. But it was 15 minutes, so it's not like that's alarming. And, you know, I would lie down and drink water and that would get them to settle down. So, I'm always freaking out, like, oh, what if I go into preterm labor? But, that little phase seems to have passed. I'm still getting Braxton Hicks every day, but it doesn't seem to be quite as much as those few days. Like I said, they weren't that painful, but there were a couple times when it did feel like crampy, like menstrual cramp-like, which freaked me out as well, but that was short-lived as well, so I don't think it was a big deal. Must be from exercise, overexerting myself, and I know I mentioned the other week that I'm drinking the pregnancy tea, which has the raspberry leaf tea in it, and that's supposed to tone your uterus, which basically, you know, helps it contract to get it ready for birth. So I'm like, is it the tea? I don't know. I laid off the tea for a couple days and that seemed to help as well. I don't know. I'm trying to pick it back up again now and it seems okay. Just one small thing. I noticed my very first stretch mark on my belly that I've ever had. Tear. It's just like this tiny little bitty stretch mark down on the left. And I see some that I can't quite tell if they're just veins or if there's something that's like about to turn into a stretch mark on the other side. I'm not quite sure. My belly is getting bigger than it was in my last pregnancy because of my diastasis recti, or the separated abdominal muscles. So, you know, my belly is getting bigger. I guess it's possible that I could get stretch marks this time. I mean, it definitely hasn't been too bad so far, but I did get my first one. So that's new this week. And I have like 1 or 2 new ones on my hips now too. So things are expanding. The other thing is baby girl has been crazy active. Like I mentioned last week how doing some of the spinning babies exercises, you know, like where I put my butt up in the air, how that seemed to release her legs from the like Frank breech position with her feet up by her head, because I have been feeling, since then I have been feeling so much movement. Like she is doing acrobatics in there now, which is reassuring to me because, you know, there was a week or two when she really wasn't being that active and it was freaking me out. So this is really reassuring that she has been like crazy. In fact, oh yeah, she heard me talking because there she goes now. And so I am actually, since this last weekend, you know, I used to be feeling all the hard kicks down low, which indicated to me she was still breech. But just in the last day or two, I've been feeling the hard kicks up top. And so I'm like, does that mean that she flipped? I really hope it does. So yeah, and there she goes. She knows I'm talking about her, I swear. I'm feeling some of those like hard jabs up top, like on the left, and occasionally she like rotates, so then it'll be like on the right on the top. So that's been really reassuring. I actually have a midwife appointment tomorrow, which I'll update you on next week, but hopefully she will confirm for me what baby's position is, and hopefully she's turned. I've been praying a lot about it, just in addition to doing my exercises and everything. Just praying that she turns head down, because I really want to have a natural vaginal birth, if at all possible. Even though I've talked about doing, you know, a breech vaginal birth as well, I'm willing to go there. But I would really prefer to just keep it the safest way possible and have her come out the way she's supposed to come out, head first. But I also scheduled a chiropractic appointment for myself. I finally got that done. So next week I'm going to have a chiropractic appointment, and even if she has turned head down, I still really need to have chiropractic done because of the hip pain that I'm having. So I'm like, either way, I think it'll be helpful for me. But anyway, I'm just so glad to be feeling so much movement from her. I am back to feeling those sweeping motions across my belly. Like, it's awesome. So I'm really enjoying that movement. So I'm wondering if she's still going to be as mellow as Alex. It does seem like at this point she's being a little more active than he was. So hard to say. We'll see how her personality is when she comes out. So the other funny thing this week is I have had Butterfingers. Not the candy, I have just been a total klutz, and like, I'm normally a total klutz as it is. Like, I swear it's genetic. It like runs in my family, just being a klutz, dropping things, and you know. But it just seems like this last week, it's been like out of control. It's like, I am dropping things all the time. Luckily, knock on wood, I haven't actually broken anything yet. But like, it's ridiculous. I feel it's like I will drop something, then I'll pick it up and like drop it again. And like, oh my gosh. The really funny thing about it is I'm having a really hard time bending over now, people. Like, it is so hard with my big old belly for me to bend over and pick something up if I've dropped it. And so I'm like, usually I'll have to like get off if I'm sitting on a chair or something. I have to get up and like squat down, and like most of the time if Bill is here, I'm just like, Bill, will you pick this up for me? He just chuckles at me. And thankfully he's, you know, service is his love language. And so he's happy to accommodate me and cater to my klutziness these days, which is great. So I was like, man, I really need to get one of those little like sticks, with, you know, like one of those like garbage picker-upper things, you know, so I can like pick things up right now. So the last important thing I wanted to talk about is that I have decided who I'm going to have at my birth. As I mentioned before, obviously Bill will be there and my mom will be there. And granted, she and my dad just left on a month-long vacation, and so I'm like, I'm getting a little nervous about this. I'm like, I hope I don't go into labor early. Hopefully not. It'll probably be fine. I'm sure she will be back in time. You know, I was just like thinking of like all of my possibilities for who do I want to have there. And, you know, I was considering having a doula. I did have a doula with my first birth, and that was great. And the one that I actually had that time, she was in training, so I got her for free, which was great. But at this point, like having been through a 35-hour natural labor once before now, like I kind of feel like I know what to expect. Like, and I know every labor is different and everything, but like I do know what it feels like now, and I know how, you know, I came up like with my own systems for coping with the pain and everything and the contractions. And I feel like I know how to get myself into that headspace now. At least I don't feel like I need to pay somebody there to be for that. We just couldn't, you know, justify the cost of a doula as much as I think doulas are amazing. We just couldn't justify the cost of it this time. So I was like, well, that option's out the window. And I was considering getting a birth photographer because like I said before, like I really do want to document it just for our sake, if nothing else, you know, just so we can like have that to look back on, you know. A birth photographer costs just about as much as a doula. They're really expensive. And so I was like, oh, I don't know if I can justify that either. And I was also thinking like when you have a doula or a birth photographer, you know, it's not somebody that you know very well, you know? And so it seems a little impersonal and a little strange in that way to me. So I was like, okay, I have, you know, a small pool of friends that I would consider asking. Because birth is such an intimate thing and, you know, you show your every side of yourself when you're in birth, the good, bad, and the ugly, and you don't necessarily want just anyone to see that side of you, you know. And so there are just a very small handful of friends that I would feel comfortable with. A couple of my friends that are in that category, they have had babies themselves recently, like really recently, so that option's kind of out the window because they're like caught up in the newborn thing right now. And I have some friends who aren't so comfortable with the idea of natural birth, and so, you know, I think witnessing that, if you're not comfortable with the idea of it, would make things difficult and be not the greatest energy to have there, you know what I mean? And so I thought about it, I was like, my dear friend Katie, she is the perfect one to have there. She and I have been good friends since college. We met our freshman year of college, and that was way back in 2002. So we have known each other for almost 13 years now. That's crazy. So we have a whole history. We were each other's bridesmaids in our weddings. And we've just like, you know, done a lot of life together. Like, we've experienced a lot of the ups and downs of our lives in the last decade together, and like supported each other through those things, and just like really been there for each other in like some of the really big milestones. And this last year she actually had a baby boy as well, and she went through having a natural labor as well in a birth center, and so she knows what it's all about. And I was like, yes, this is exactly who I want to have there. Just knowing that she has been through that herself, and like, I feel like it wouldn't freak her out like it would, you know, some of my friends who either haven't been through birth or who are uncomfortable with the idea of natural birth. So I wrote a letter to ask her if she would like to be there for the birth of baby girl, and she called me and she said yes. And so I'm just so pleased about that, and I'm really excited to have her join my little birth team of 3 people, other than my midwives, obviously. So anyway, so Katie, I'm just so excited that you're going to be there. It's going to be such an honor. That's it for week 32. Sorry, this was another long update. I just feel like I've been doing one long update after another, but so much has been happening. If you made it this far, thank you for watching all the way through. And let me show you a quick belly shot. So here's the week 32 belly. You can see the evidence of her little growth spurt this week. My belly is just getting so huge. And I'm like getting to the point where I'm in stores and stuff, and I feel like I'm the circus walking down the aisles, you know. People are like always looking like, oh, I hope she doesn't give birth right here, you know. So thank you guys so much for watching, and if you like this video, hit that thumbs up button, and if you're new to my channel and you'd like to see more content to come, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below, and I will see you next week. Bye!